Well, I don't understand why it did that. I need to try and figure that out now. The lambda's 1.248. It's looking for 1. So, let's see. I don't know why the fuel pump makes that noise either. We're going to have a look at that too. Well, it's a few days later and I've been fluting around with this software for God knows how long. And I can tell you now straight away, this is not a straightforward process, folks. Be warned, if you're going to take this on, be very careful because there is a lot involved in it and there's a lot of head scratching. And trying to just even get this to the point where I'm actually happy with the idle has been a bit of a challenge. So whatever way it is, idling, I mean, it needs to be a mile better when it's actually out on the road. And plus, the other benefit of it as well is that it screwed my starter. Yeah, basically my starter's bunched. The engine kicked back. I couldn't get it to start with some of the settings I had. And timing was too far advanced. There was a whole load of things wrong, to be honest with you, and I had to go back to basics with it. But the short of it essentially is that I had to look at the timing, because what happened is the engine kicked back and ripped the starter apart. So it's well and truly screwed now. So I have a new high torque starter on order, and I've also got an engine brace bar, which is basically, it joins the two top strut towers to the engine mounts and essentially ties that whole thing together. So I bought that off Volkswagen, VWspares.ie. So yeah, that should be arriving in the next few days. So, given the fact that I did get the engine to idle eventually, I got the opportunity to put it on the ramp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to take the engine out, because the reason being is that I don't know what sort of damage has been done by the starter giving up the ghost, and there's a heap load of leaks and everything like that in there too that all need to be put right. And there is also an opportunity for me there to tidy up things like wiring and pipe work with the engine out of the way. And to be honest with you, I would feel better if I had taken the heads off the engine and I was able to kind of go through everything and just make sure everything's 100% there and tidy it all up without the stress of it actually being in the car. So that's going to be a job for another video. So next video, I will be taking the engine out. No, stop, hang on a second. I'm not taking the engine out until I get this damn thing running. Then we can worry about all of that. I've got a new starting motor in it now, so at least we can spin it over. But I'm going back to the drawing board in the EFI system. We can tolerate a little bit of oil leakage at this point in time, so we're just going to leave that the way it is, deal with that, and then have a look at what we actually need to do to get the EFI system running, and then I can pull the engine once I've got a system that I know actually works that I can bolt onto it and get it all finished off. So now what I've got is, what's arrived from VWspares.ie is I got a new starting motor which is fitted. I have a truss bar which is in bits in a box over there in the garage, along with everything else in the garage for that matter. And I've also got new engine mounts. I've got pushrod tubes, pushrod tube by one, and a set of pushrod tube seals, and I've also got a set of rocker cover seals. So all of those type of things mean that I'll be able to freshen the engine up after I get it out of the car, and then I can take care of things like sort of tidying up the wiring and all that carry on as well. So right, back to the drawing board, and that means what I am doing is I'm going to take the throttle bodies and the manifolds back out of the car, because I have a few theories in place. But the first thing I want to do before I do that is I want to just take the fuel return off the fuel tank, and I want to activate the fuel pump and see what sort of a flow we're getting through the return line back to the tank. And if the flow is going to be piss poor there, which I fully suspect it will be, then we know straight away that we're dealing with a fueling issue, and I strongly suspect that's what the problem is. But while we're trying to track down those kind of issues, I can also take care of the positioning of the throttle bodies in the car and a few other things that I'm just not happy about, because I've been doing a lot of head scratching and thinking, and have come up with a few kind of potential solutions that I want to try, because I'm just not happy with how everything is at this point in time. Alright, so this is the return fuel hose that would come up through the inner tunnel of the car, and what I expect to see is, well, the fuel just kind of dribbling out of there and not coming out at any great rate. And really what should be happening is everything, the fuel can pump should be coming back through the return when the fuel rails are pressurised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just power the pump with this little 12 volt battery pack here, rather than trying to cycle it through the ECU. So let's just do that. Okay, so there's the fuel line's pressurised. Alright, I'd be expecting to see something coming through there now. Right, okay, so straight away that is a major problem. Right, so the pump is making some mad noises there, and still not a damn thing coming through there. So we've a major problem on our hands, so we need to figure out what's going on there first and foremost. Okay, so now I have got the outlet of the pump going back into the can, so I want to see what the fuel flow is like on that. Now don't confuse pressure with flow here, by the way, folks. I can tell you there's some pressure on that line because when I undid the pipe clamp, it popped off at a fair rate and a load of fuel sprayed out. But just because a pump can develop pressure does not mean it's got any flow. So let's turn on the battery pack and see what comes out of this. I would expect it to come horsing out of here, so I'm just going to hold it with my finger. Oh yeah, plenty of flow there as well. Right, okay, so we know our pump is all right. We know our filter is not clogged, or our pipe is not clogged between there and there. Okay, so now we need to start moving back through the car. I have the pipe connected just before the inlet to the first fuel rail here, so let's have a look and see what sort of flow we're getting here. That'll basically test the line that runs throughout the whole car. I'd say the flow there is pretty decent. This pipe here is the return from the fuel rails, and I checked and there's plenty of flow through it. So what I've done is I've stuck a pressure gauge in the end of it. Now I know with the pressure gauge I've deadheaded at the end of the pump, but for the purposes of this exercise it's just to give you an idea as to how much pressure is being delivered at this point and how quickly it's decaying after I turn the pump off. What's interesting here is the pump is making exactly the same sound as it does when it's running, when it has been running up until now, and it's delivering 7 bar. And the pump is off, and that pressure is very much holding. So that tells me that there's no leaks, there's no leak back or anything like that. If it can hold 7 bar, it'll definitely be able to hold the 3 bar. But the next port of call is this little doofer in here. Have I got that the wrong way around? No, I didn't think I did. I thought that's exactly the way it's supposed to go. That's the inlet and the outlet is down the bottom. Maybe not. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. The 8mm pipe in the side of the regulator is feed inlet and the bottom pipe is return to tank. And I had the little bastard the wrong way around. Please tell me this is the sole reason I was having so much trouble tuning this system. And incidentally, I actually drilled another hole in the bracket so I can reorientate it without having to drill another hole in the car. And we're back up at the front of the car now, and I've got the fuel return pipe here. So now let's see what happens. Spoiler alert, I already know what happens. I've already tried it, but let's see again. To coin a well-used phrase on YouTube, hell yeah, brother. I do not believe I did that. But there we go. Happy days. Right, let's get that pipe back into the tank. Throw what's in that jerry can back into the tank as well, so we actually have a bit of petrol, and then start the engine, see what it does. Alright, let's go for a start. That sounds very different. I mean, the tuning is going to be miles out because I was tuning it in such a way that everything was arseways. Right, back to the drawing board with the tuning file, I suppose, and we'll get that uploaded. I need to rethink my strategy entirely. Things like the cranking enrichment and all that sort of stuff is just going to be completely wrong, because I'd say as soon as the injectors opened, it just horsed fuel into it. So I was never going to get it right. Well, it was never going to start very well with the plugs looking like that, so let's get them cleaned up first and foremost. Right, so I have the plugs cleaned up, and before I do anything else, I'm going to try and start it now and see how we're looking. I have the fueling fairly well down on the crank enrichment, so I don't want to just flood the engine out and just basically end up back to square one. So what I want to do is gradually increase the fueling to the point where the engine's catching easily. But all going well, it'll actually catch straight away now. I have the timing set on crank to 5 degrees before top dead centre, which should be fairly within the ballpark of what this engine would want. So let's see what we get. Incidentally, you'll see here I picked up a little Viva air blower, a duct fan, which will blow any exhaust gases out the window because there's a duct that goes right away out to the window. So I may end up using that. I'm hoping I will. So let's see how we go. No accelerator. In the background, you will hear the exhaust fan running, so that means that we are looking an awful lot better. Still not perfect, but it's ticking over. Hey, now we're talking, now we're making progress. So the plan now is to let the engine heat up, because there is no point in trying to tune the cold start when the hot running is all arseways, which it certainly will be. And that was one of the things that I was told a couple of times. You got to get the hot running right, because everything else is built on top of that. But let's leave the engine tick over. It's sounding an awful lot happier, and so am I. Right, so it's been ticking over beautifully like this for the last 15 minutes or so, and the engine is nice and warmed up. So I've done a little bit of the kind of the tweaking of the VE table at idle, so it is ticking over really nice, and lambda figures are 0.94, 0.95, which is really what I want. So and even hey, now when it comes back down to idle, it stumbles a little bit before it picks up, but it does pick up, so we'll be able to tune that out of it. I'm not concerned about that kind of thing, to be honest with you. So I'm really encouraged now at this stage, which is great, because I've been so discouraged with this for the last while. And I actually feel like now the next step in this process is to take it out for a drive and start putting some numbers into those tables and getting the tuning right. And I actually feel like I can do this now. It was just that one thing. I still can't believe that I did that. You know what? There's just so much involved in installing this kit that it's so easy to miss something like that. You know, I mean, I suppose I am trying to defend myself to a certain degree. You know, it hasn't been an easy process actually to get to this point. Certainly not as easy as had originally been suggested, but but look, we're here at this point now, and I've got a running Beetle with fuel injection, and let's just see what the hot start is like. That's just a fan you can hear in the background, obviously. Right, so hot start, no accelerator pedal. Okay, it could be a little bit better, but it started on the first turn of the key, so that's not bad going at all. I would imagine it's probably too rich when I'm actually cranking it, and we'll need to kind of tidy that up a little bit in due course, but I won't be doing that right now. As I said, I want to get the rest of the table all sorted out first of all, provided of course it'll start when it's cold, but I don't see why it won't at this stage. I certainly feel like the timing is well dialed in enough that it's not going to be kind of trying to kick back on the starter like the way it was before, and it basically misbehaving. But yeah, happy days. So I'll pick this up tomorrow. It's what is it, 20 past 10 in the evening, and I'm a pretty happy man. I think cautiously optimistic is the term I'd use today, which is more than I've been on most other occasions. So I have the laptop set up with me here, so I'm going to take it off for a spin and see how we go. Now, I won't film everything because I kind of need to watch the road as well, but we'll see how we go. Okay, we're on the move, as you can see. Now, this is the second time around, because the first time I didn't have much success. I ended up, it was as if the fuel pump stopped working, so I'm hoping I haven't damaged the fuel pump with the high fuel pressure situation. But I've changed the filter and checked everything, so let's just see what happens this time. I have it on auto-tune mode over there. I don't know whether you can see on the passenger seat, but just take my word for it for the time being anyway. So look, I'm going to just take it for a bit of a spin. It is pulling along nicely now at the moment, but you can't kind of mash the accelerator pedal, because then it goes into fuel enrichment mode and that'll skew your figures. So gentle acceleration is generally the order of the day. So I'm going to give it a good burn. Well, I mean, maybe 5 or 10 minutes up the road, see how we fare out, and I'll bring it back when we see how we are. Not driving too mad now. Still a bit more to go, but my laptop battery died, but it's yeah, unfortunately my laptop battery's not up to much, so I kind of have to capitalise on what I can do while it's still alive. But look, still in all, I've got it driving pretty well. I'd say the fuel filter was what was needed. So God, the sinking shift.